creation. I don't have to.
And I don't think that that's a fair characterization of the sentiment of my question, if we could move to Jefferson for a moment, the sort of spirit that allowed American liberty to flourish in the founding was one in which there was a recognition that there was a place for God in public life. There was certainly a hatred of despotic religious impulse, and Jefferson was a marvelous crusader in that regard, but there was also a recognition that there was a place for God in public life, just as Solzhenitsyn recognized that, I think.
Oh, I didn't. Well, your Solzhenitsyn point, I meant to say, Solzhenitsyn is borrowing there from Smerdyakov in the Brothers Karamazov, who says, without God, everything is possible. Smerdyakov is, of course, the moral idiot of the book, but his point is considered to be useful. And, okay, if you can be an atheist and say that means there's no law. You can be a nihilist and be an atheist, just as you can be a nihilist and be a Muslim or a Christian, or a sadist, or a casuist. There's no guarantee. But we think that morality is innate in human beings, and religion borrows it from us. And I think I could prove it by reference to the Jewish and Christian testaments. Who here believes that until they got to the foot of Mount Sinai, the Jewish people thought that murder, theft, and perjury were okay? They got that far, were amazed to be told, that's not cool anymore. The answer is obvious. They couldn't have got that far. There couldn't have been a human society that thought otherwise. Voila. When the story is told of the man from Samaria, sometimes called the Good Samaritan, who we may or may not think of as an Orthodox Jew, we're not sure. The story is told of someone who goes out of his way to help a fellow creature in distress. Well, quite obviously this person is not animated by the teachings of Jesus, or Jesus couldn't have known the story about him, any more than he could have known the golden rule. Do not unto others what you would not wish to have done unto you, which comes from, well, the Analects of Confucius, at least as early as that, and also the teachings of Rabbi Hillel. In fact, you could say is innate, is a rule that you don't have to teach to children. But if you want someone to do something really nasty, you better get them to believe in supernatural authority. I return to my point. Things that no morally decent average person would consider doing can have a divine warrant. The gentleman who opened the bidding is a member of a church which calls its head the prophet. That's what the Mormons call the head of their church. The prophet can tell you to do anything, and it doesn't matter whether it breaks the law or not. It's a commandment. You have to do it. That's why Governor Romney has to be asked whether he really is a member of this church or not. Yes, it is true. Yes, it is.
Well, just to continue the point, Mao certainly did not come from a Christian nation, and he murdered many more people than Stalin did. But the point, what I would like to ask you is to comment on what seems to me a contradiction. On the one hand, what you say seems to me a very nice sequel to Freud's The Future of an Illusion. Mm-hmm. But Freud went on to say that human destructiveness was so strong that it could only be balanced not by reason, but by love. Now that's on the one hand, and the question is where that will come from. The second point is the contradiction. When you quote Jefferson, Spinoza, Einstein, you're talking about deists. You're talking about people who have a view of God which is not in any sense anthropomorphic, but it's still a sense of some kind of force that has that human beings need to connect to in order to fully develop their humanity.
Yes.
So I'd like you to comment on this contradiction.
Quickly on the Mao point, I could have added it to my Stalin one. I mean, Mao inherits a country full of stupefied peasants who believed from centuries that they lived in a middle kingdom that was divinely ruled. So again, you have a pool of people who are very easily coerced, and if you can't make use of that, you're no good as a potential dictator. Why not dry up that pool a bit, not have people ready to take things on faith and fall to their knees and worship at any opportunity? On your second point, yes, I mentioned the future of an illusion a great deal because the connection between religion and wish thinking is so clear. The moral superiority of atheism, I would say, as well as its intellectual superiority, is we are not necessarily all that happy with our conclusion that this life is all there is and annihilation follows it. It doesn't delight me to think this, though it probably delights my children, because parents have to make room. It would be obscene if one hung around, let alone if one proposed to hang around forever. When you look at it like that, you can come reconcile to it quite easily. Well, where does love come from? You're saying love comes from Mount Sinai, which tells you to murder your fellow creatures and enslave them? And burn old ladies among them because they're witches? Where's the love in that? Where's the love in the preaching of hell by the Nazarene? Right? Where's the love saying, abandon your children to come and follow me? Take no thought for the morrow, for clothing, for food. Just come and follow me, I'm the boss. Where's the love or morality in that? It only makes sense. Even C.S. Lewis is forced to concede it. It's the ravings of a madman, unless you believe the end of the world is coming real soon, and this person has some clue to it. Well, you might as well take the Kool-Aid right there. This is not loving. However, I dare say that there are enough people in this room who will know from their own experience that love can be felt without any reference to these invocations. Not just for... I'm rather touched to hear it. It makes me feel all moist and husky. And I might go a little further than that, not just for another creature who might conceivably do you a sexual favor, but for your fellow mammals as well. Fragile, I admit, and inconsistent, but a lot better than being told you better be loving or we're going to torture you forever. This is tripe. Sinister tripe. Oh, and the deism point. Well, of course, I actually don't think Spinoza was a deist. He was actually a pantheist. What he said was God is everything and everywhere. I don't mind people saying that. I don't mind people saying that at all. He didn't believe it gave him the right to tell anyone what to do. Jefferson was a very good paleontologist. Could have been a great one if he'd been born a few years later. He's still puzzling. Why are the seashells so high up on the mountains? 1819, he was still alive, the great day on which, it's February 1819, Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin are born, the two great emancipators. Darwin much the greater one. Now there's no mystery. Before then there was. Deism was the best that Jefferson, brilliant as he was, could possibly do. Now we don't need it. You can believe it if you like, but it's optional. Fine. What does the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor? You doing it? Make me one with everything. As Jefferson said about religion in general. As Jefferson said about religion in general, that neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. I don't mind. Do you know what the hot dog vendor says in return? Not everyone knows part two. Well, he makes him one with everything and hands the Buddhist a slathered dog. The Buddhist hands over a $20 bill. That's all he's got under his saffron robes. Munches a bit, waits. He says, but no money is forthcoming. And he says finally to the vendor, where's my change? And the vendor says, change comes only from within. You can see it at DuPont Circle every day, people who want you to be spiritual. Well, I don't mind. I do not mind. Just leave me out of it. And babble all you like. It's fine by me. Whatever floats your boat. But I insist, don't try and teach this to my children. Don't try and put it in the schools. Don't get the president to talk piss on public occasions in this way. Don't be praising people because they'll believe anything. Don't be telling me that jihadism is the expression of some suppressed grievance. Don't be telling me any of that. Don't tell me that God gave you the West Bank. None of this, because this is not a difference of opinion. This is a battle in which civilization is involved and in which they've had it all their own way for far too long. And people who care for civilization are going to have to fight and show that we too have unalterable convictions. We too have real principles that can't be changed. We won't call them faith or dogma, but don't mistake that for weakness. And yeah, you know what? On certain days, we too can be offended. I find that really offensive. That you say to me that God is telling you to blow yourself up in my city. No, that's offensive. It's worse than offensive. Up with this. We will not put.
Can I ask a question over here?
Sure.
Thank
Absolutely.
You. I think a lot of the laughter in the room betrays truly that these questions are rightfully ones that hit us so deep in the heart that there's fear, they're profound, and I think we all obviously come with presuppositions and views. One I would just say briefly, I've struggled profoundly with belief questions and come to some convictions and come as a theist, monotheist.